After dozens of hours of research, gameplay, and literary analysis, I have finally completed my ultimate guide to Terraria for the Warzy. Just don't get hit. Okay, fine, I'll make an actual guide. To do well in Forza Warzy, you must first understand what Forza Warzy does. The Forza Warzy seed can be played on any difficulty, but is typically played on Master mode. Master increases everything's damage to C times Classic, and Forza Warzy triples everything's base contact damage on average, additively with Master mode, for a total of 5 times contact damage and C times damage from projectiles, again, on average. It also gives bosses new AI, except for the ones it doesn't, and changes aspects of roll gen. It also makes slit bombs drop out of nowhere when you perform certain actions early game. But the key point is that Forza Warzy increases contact damage far more than range damage, so whatever you do, avoid getting hit by enemies themselves, because it is far more punishing in Forza Warzy than on other difficulties. Due to the ridiculous damage, Forza Warzy is far more grindy than normal difficulties, and fishing and herbs are basically required. It's worth making them as soon as you can to get their benefits early on, since you'll need to eventually do it anyway. One positive aspect of Forza Warzy is its doubled mining speed. Combined with certain ores having higher spawn rates, this makes the chance of you finding a vein of gold in any given minute of play higher than the chance of you stopping watching Terraria YouTube videos long enough to finish your mass homework. In Forza Warzy, it's not difficult to get a full set of gold armor before the Eye of Cthulhu, although not required because it is the Eye of Cthulhu. The Eye of Cthulhu in Forza Warzy isn't actually that much harder than in regular Master mode, which is just a slightly stat-inflated version of the Eye of Cthulhu in Expert mode. It has some slight AI changes, but as long as you have over 200 health, a high-tier metal armor, and good mobility, this fight should be fairly easy. Grenades or a demonite bow with frostburn arrows are an easily obtainable weapon for this fight. Forza Warzy Eye of Cthulhu is like that first day in math class where they go over something you learned 2 years ago to lure you into a full sense of security, before hitting you with derivatives 2 weeks in. But the first day of class isn't quite over yet, because if one boss could be all bark and no bite, King Slime would be a forest without a molecule of a dog to be found. While him filling up half the screen and dealing 150 contact damage is scary, he is still susceptible to the incredibly advanced tactic of walking straight backwards. Sometime after these 2 battles, I recommend the Goblin Army, which will consist of an epic battle of finding a lava pit in a world which generates them on the surface, then pouring that onto the entirety of spawn before the goblins arrive. After killing a mutating eye, gelatinous monarch, and an army with no obvious supply chain, you can now play the lottery while being under the legal age. Simply head off towards Crimson and summon the Brain of Cthulhu. I really liked the gameplay. Congratulations, he has a chance to randomly teleport directly on top of you at any point during his first phase, killing you instantly. Simply restart the battle until you get lucky and don't instantly die from unavoidable teleport damage while keeping the creepers at bay with a combination of a flaming mace, grenades, Jester's arrows, and pure frustration, and after you've beaten the completely skill-based first stage, in the second stage you can now enjoy the amazing experience of staring at your minimap for the next 3 minutes. This will be to figure out which Brain of Cthulhu is the real one, and dodge accordingly. I recommend, for your own sanity, instead of doing this whole battle at once, to simply kill some creepers the first time, and then go to the underworld and get molten gear before even attempting stage 2. If you prefer suffering even more, however, you could build an AFK Crimson farm for extra vertebrae and fish up endurance potions. However you manage doing it, after getting Hellstone gear, Skeletron will be your next target. Have you ever wanted to fight Skeletron Prime in pre-hard mode, but without all the fun parts? Well, congratulations, welcome to Forza Warzy. He has Prime Speed, and you have pre-hard mode mobility. Actually, compared to some of the other fights we'll see, this isn't too bad. Molten Fury with Hellfire arrows can quickly dispatch his arms, and from there you can use the astronomically amazingly awesome technique of literally going in a circle to dodge his skulls. Just be sure not to get caught out into transition phase, as this can have an unfortunate end. Once in the dungeon, there are exactly 3 worthwhile items to get. A blue sword, a blue key, and a blue flail. If you happen to get any items that aren't blue, you can throw them out. They probably aren't worth anything. After getting these items, I recommend going to the jungle and making a blade out of some grass. After this, you should now be able to craft a better blue sword out of your blue sword. You can now use the blue sword to kill the depressingly not blue Queen Bee. Unfortunately, as she isn't blue, the sword isn't very effective. You'll want a weapon that matches her more in color, so I recommend, once again, the weapon you can use for the past 2 boss battles before this, and will probably use on the one after as well, the Molten Fury with Hellfire arrows. With the Hellfire arrows dealing area of effect damage to all of the smaller bees, this fight is surprisingly easy, even with Queen Bee being permanently half enraged. If you're still struggling, Farm Hornets for a while until you get a Bazaar, which makes this fight much easier. Just whatever you do not bring her up to the surface. Before fighting the Wall of Flesh, I recommend taking a few precautionary steps to prepare for hard mode. Looting shadow chests, fishing several dozen endurance potions, building a 4,000 block long bridge across half the underworld with an additional 2,000 blocks of real at the end for once the Wall of Flesh becomes faster than a jet engine, bases and pylons across the map for easy transit without having to go through hard mode evil biomes, and booking a visit to your therapist for the intense psychological trauma you're about to experience will all likely pay off. After a surprisingly easy time finding a guide voodoo doll, subsequently realizing all demons are voodoo demons on For the Worthy, and starting to delude yourself that the devs actually do have a sense of mercy, you're ready for the Wall of Flesh fight. Simply spend several dozen seconds moving to the side of your bridge opposite to your minecart track and summon the boss. With the use and abuse of several dozen buff potions, a Sun Fury and or a Spinal Tap, and a minecart track alongside a star cannon, the fight is possible to finish with only a mild amount of intense stress. You may think that now that you've defeated the boss of the underworld, this would get easier. You would be wrong. Welcome to hell. Every other enemy can one-shot you, everything has several times your health, you do not do damage, boss fights are practically out of calamity, and God help you if you're playing hardcore. Unfortunately, relying on that doesn't seem to provide many results. This is that stage of the game where you mine an ore, craft one pick, use that pick to mine another ore, use that ore to make another pick, and use that pick to mine another ore to make armor out of, all while fishing up the ingredients for more endurance and life force potions. Don't wait too long though, because we're fighting the twins now. If you were lucky enough to get a clockwork assault rifle from the Wall of Flesh, you can use that combined with crystal bullets, otherwise an adamantite or titanium repeater works well too. If you're a nerd, the onyx blaster is also an option, or if you're clinically insane you can use the Shadow Flame knife for several thousand fallen stars alongside a cannon. Whatever your setup of choice, mobility is the crucial aspects here, and amphibian boots work extremely well in this fight. Repeat this process until full hollowed armor is acquired. Congratulations, instead of dying in one hit, you now die in two. For the Destroyer, if you simply want to kill him, you can craft the Super Star Shooter with your Star Cannon and Hollowed Raws, and kill him in about 12 seconds. But for the true For the Worthy experience, you cannot do that and desperately try to dodge probes for 8 minutes while your friends try hopelessly to deal damage with a giant metal worm trapping spawn. The best place to spawn Skeletron Prime is above your friend's house, and the second best is in an enclosed arena far away from anything important made of hard mode ores and chests with one block in it on all your platforms. After killing all 3 mechs, you're ready to catch a blue worm, and use your blue sword and some souls to craft an even better blue sword to kill a blue fish with. Simply stack a ridiculous amount of mobility items on top of each other, or alternatively kill another slime monarch, female this time, until the gelatinous pillion drops. An arena going halfway to space and spanning several hundred blocks also doesn't hurt. Congratulations, the first and second stage are now actually bearable. For the third stage, you can either try to repeat them dozens of times, cheese it with a minecart, or realize it's actually a pattern of 1 dash, teleport, 2 dashes, teleport, 3 dashes, repeat. These options are not mutually exclusive. Continue farming Duke Fishon until you have acquired your blue wings and blue weapon of choice. You are now ready for the underground jungle. After spending 2 hours farming chlorophyte and realizing that any armor you can make out of it is useless because it lacks holy dodge, and another 2 hours looking for life fruits, you're ready for Plantera. Simply buy a few hundred dynamite and blow up a space 1/4 the size of Canada with teleporters on either side. Use the incredibly advanced technique of going in a circle for stage 1, and the incredibly advanced technique of switching between teleporters while staying absolutely still for stage 2. This fight should be fairly easy. Alternatively, for the proper For the Worthy experience, don't use teleports and simply dodge every single hook by hand. And here's the point at which For the Worthy transforms into Hypixel Skyblock. If you want to min-max your setup to speedrun the rest of the bosses in the game, you will need a Frozen Shield, made from the Paladin's Shield, a 1 in 7 drop chance from a rare mini-boss in the dungeon, and a Frozen Turtle Shell, a 1 in 100 drop chance from Ice Tortoises. B, a God of Discord, a 1 in 400 drop chance from Chaos Elementals in the Underground Hollow, and C, Vampire Knives obtained with a Crimson Key, a 1 in 2500 drop chance from any Crimson enemy. I'm just kidding, we're not done yet. D, Master Ninja Gear to replace the Shield of Cthulhu. This isn't actually all that hard to get, unless your world actually has 0 shoe spikes anywhere, which I mean, what are the chances of that? I'll see you after 20 hours of AFK. Alternatively, you can skip these and see how far you can get without them. If you're smart, you could hook up a teleporter to an arena outside the Jungle Temple so you can fight Goblin in an actual arena. Or you could just YOLO it and see how far shameless lifesteal abuse can get you.
My FPS is dying.
And it's still just as much of a joke as before. Just keep on using the defensive Spectre armor and we'll be fine.
I'm using the offensive one, but it spawns orbs that do even more damage.
No,
like
I'm dealing with all of your damage. Please
don't.
Because he's using Adventurous using the Paladin shield.
I told you not to use the offensive one. Oh my god, it leads onto the...
Now we're now dying. We can't do this without Photon's healing. I don't have any healing.
Doesn't matter, you can win anyways.
I might
yeah,
not...
Adventure.
Stop pretending
Adventure
I'm
has vampire knives. He's gonna be fine. Not like he just took
I'm about to die.
Lies.
The
Golem is
headbutt.
like 10% now. See, look, Adventure.
Oh my god,
Fine.
oh my god, oh my god, I somehow did that. After Golem, you can make the first actually useful set in the game in the past 24 hours. Of playtime, Beetle Armor. The damage reduction stacking with this set starts to get so insane that for the worthy enemies actually become beatable. Make a hard mode corruption biome or kill the Eater of Worlds in another world acquires a Worm Scarf for even more damage reduction. Let's counter optimal damage reduction setup. 10% from Endurance Potions, 17% from the Worm Scarf, 25% from Frozen Shield, gives us 52%. This will multiply multiplicatively with the Beetle Armor bonus of 45%, which both stack multiplicatively with the Dodge bonus of the combined 17% from the Rain of Confusion and 10% from the Master Ninja Gear. This gives us an average damage reduction under 50% life of 80%. But we're doing the Frost Moon next, and we haven't even factored in Worm's Potions. This reduces damage by an additional 30% before defense. This is insane. By this point, getting 100 defense with Bass Statues, Beetle Armor, Iron Sting Potions, and well-fed buffs is quite attainable, even without full warding. Let's say an enemy had an insta-kill attack of 500. This would be reduced first by 150 by the Worm's Potion to 350, then by another 100 by our defense to 250, then by another 4/5 by our damage reduction to an average of 50 damage taken from a 500 damage attack under 50% HP. Let's say we get hit for 180 damage. The Worm's Potion gets rid of 60 of that to 120, the defense further reduces it to 20, and that is further divided by 5 because of our damage reduction for an average of 4 damage from a 180 strong attack under 50% HP. With this setup, we're effectively immune to any cold attack dealing less than 150 damage, and anything more deals anywhere from 1% to 20% of the damage it's actually supposed to. This setup is so strong, in fact, that it makes late game Portability bosses actually doable, which is nice because we're about to need to do them. First up, Empress of Light. With our new damage reduction setup, you can basically forget to dodge every other attack and still be completely fine with our vampire knives, as every attack now only deals 40 damage compared to the 400 they're supposed to. After getting the Soaring Insignia, you're ready to attack the pillars. Whatever you do not fight the daytime Empress of Light. It is completely unnecessary, and the Terra Prisma doesn't even deal good DPS if you're going to stick with a damage reduction setup, which we are. After we cheese the cultist by using our incredible technique of not taking damage, the pillars would be hell on us if we actually took damage. Luckily, we don't. Simply stay near the edges of solar pillars so you don't get overwhelmed, and throw vampire knives at the Crawlipede's tail for insane free healing. For his other pillars, such caution is not necessary. And with that, we're ready for the Moonlord. The Moonlord fight is actually rather underwhelming in Forza Worthy. It's basically just a normal Master Mode fight with buff damage. But with extensive abuse of potions and our damage reduction setup, we're just tanky enough to not die instantly. Use your Rod of Discord to dodge the Death Ray, and the rest of the fight is easier than the Solar Pillar. For optimal effect, use your superior mobility items and aggro accessories to drag the Moonlord across the map the whole fight so as not to give anyone else a chance to actually deal damage. And with that, you've beaten Forza Worthy.
And it's playing the credits off-center.
This guide does not apply to Forza Worthy Drunk Worlds, Forza Worthy Not the Bees World, or Drunk Worthy Bees. Play hardcore at your own risk.